to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody who is on the show tonight in the chat room or who is going to be here tonight with us. We really appreciate each and every one of you being here with us. That's the honest truth. We appreciate each and every one of you being here with us. Now, we have quite a few things we want to talk to you about tonight. First off, President Trump is back in Pennsylvania. President Trump came into Pennsylvania this evening, and he's doing very well. He's back in Pennsylvania, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, for a rally in Pennsylvania right now. He arrived there earlier this afternoon. He's in the process of the rally now. He's doing very well. Now, with that said, President Trump is doing well. However, the Secret Service and other agencies are telling us that there's probably going to be another assassination attempt sometime in the very short future, sometime probably in the next 30 days. The Secret Service can't tell us the truth at all. They refuse to tell us what's going on. During last week, after the assassination attempt, the Congress, the House of Representatives, brought in the acting director of the Secret Service and Mr. Abadi, the deputy assistant to the director of the Secret Service. Those two men from the Secret Service lied to Congress, lied to the House of Representatives, lied to our congressmen. Then they went over this week, starting on Monday, and continued to lie to our senators. They refused to answer questions. Every time a senator even talked about a question or asked them a question, oh, we'll get back to you. We'll give you a written message in the very short future. They refused to answer questions. When direct questions were posed to them, just like I spoke to you about yesterday, the Secret Service refused to give them an answer. They absolutely refused. That's not what the Secret Service should be doing. Yes, there is an active investigation. Okay? Yes, there is an active investigation. But when they're talking about not being able to provide a former president or a president adequate Secret Service protection, that's a different story. Now, last night I showed you clips, about 4 to 6 minute clips from 4 different congressmen questioning these directors from the Secret Service. They bounced around. They absolutely bounced around. They could not give a straight answer. And the congressman beat him up over the head. Now, there is a hearing going on now. Now, we're not able to be privy to that hearing. They're not going to let us be part of that hearing. They are in closed session. Now, it's very apparent what's going on. Okay? It's very apparent. They are giving President Biden full Secret Service protection because President Trump is a former president. They're limiting his protection. And not just that. They're not just limiting his protection. When President Trump and his Secret Service detail have asked for more protection, the directors from the service have denied it. They said they don't have the manpower, which is crap. It's crap. We talked about their budget. We talked about the budget of the United States. It's crap. The Secret Service has plenty of money. Plenty of money. Now, they were also talking about having drones available to the service. Yes, there are drones available to the Secret Service. However, they decided not to use them. They decided not to use them. There's a reason. because they intended on something to happen. They intended to have something happen. They did not want to do anything about it. Okay? It's very apparent to me that they had planned this. They had planned this to happen. Now, I've seen Secret Service protect presidents before. I was watching when Ronald Reagan walked out of a hotel after an appearance in New York City, when John Hinckley Jr. shot at him. Secret Service got him into the, what they call the Beast, the SUV, and took off with him down the street. What happened in Butler, Pennsylvania? What happened? The Secret Service took their sweet time getting to the president. Normally, the Secret Service are all over him. But if you watched what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, they took their sweet time. Yes, it appeared once they started coming towards the president, they made their presence known. But if you notice, it was more than just seconds before they showed up to cover President Trump with their bodies. They took the sweet time. Now, many of you, when we talked about this last, you guys told me there were women there that probably should not have been assigned to the detail. Yes, and were. There were plenty of women that were assigned to his detail to protect him. Many of them were very much shorter than even an average man. It has come out now that those women that were there to protect him were 5'4", 5'3" to 5'4". President Trump is 6'4". Incredible. So they were not able to adequately protect the president. Even one of the photographs that showed one of the female agents with her back to the crowd, putting her arm around President Trump to try to shield him with her body. She was so much shorter. And President Trump, even in that picture, was towering over her. Another Secret Service agent put his arm up like this to try to shield President Trump's head. Okay? At that time, the Secret Service was not fully aware of where the shot came from, I don't think. However, it was planned. This was a planned assassination attempt. They got lucky. President Trump got lucky. Yes, he and his doctor and the doctor that attended him in Pennsylvania said it was divine intervention. Yes, it was. But in my opinion, enough was not done to protect him. The Secret Service knew that that man, Thomas Matthew Crooks, was there for 3 hours. For the last hour and a half before the shooting occurred. There were police that were very much aware of him. The Secret Service was very much aware of Mr. Crooks. Now, some of you mentioned when we first talked about this, what about radio communication? The police and the Secret Service were on the same frequency. The police and the Secret Service were on the same frequency. So when the police officers climbed up to the roof, remember them telling us that there was a police officer that was stood on his partner's shoulders, grabbed hold of the edge of the roof and peered over it. And Thomas Matthew Crooks turned and pointed his weapon on the officer and said, "Get down or I'll kill you." Those two officers fell to the ground and immediately got on their radios to tell the Secret Service Command Center, the command post, that there was a problem. It was plenty of time to evacuate the president then. The Secret Service knew that there was a problem then. The protocol. The Secret Service protocol is if they believe there's a security problem, they're supposed to evacuate the president immediately and not allow him to speak. There was plenty of opportunity. Plenty of opportunity. And yet they allowed it to happen. They allowed the president to stay on location. 15 minutes before the president was to talk, there was enough evidence right then and there that he should not go up there. That President Trump should not have spoken. Yet they allowed it to happen. President Trump was on stage for about 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes. It was not enough time to do anything but for the shooting to take place. I believe it was planned. I believe it's planned, and I'm not the only one that believes that. Now, folks, we have 41 people that are watching this program right now. We had a lot more, but as soon as I started talking about this, a lot of people left this channel. I hope we get them back. Yes, we are going to talk about earthquakes in a minute. But I wanted to speak about this beforehand because I believe that there is definitely something wrong. There is more wrong than right. I'm just saying. There is more wrong than right at this point in time. I want to thank everybody that's here on our program. We appreciate all of you who are attending our program right now. I want to thank our mods here. Hurricane Heather, Surgery, Demon Cat, George Rashad is here. Tammy Steffi is here. Richard Smith is here. Demon Catman is here. We appreciate all of you here. Thank you so much for being here. I believe my buddy Don Patoka is also here. We appreciate all of you being here. God bless you for being here. We appreciate all of those others that are also attending this program. It's very much appreciated. We only put this program on the air when we believe there is enough information to make it worth it. I don't like to ratchet my jaws. I don't do that. But I believe we have a real problem here. Okay? It's not just the United States that has a problem. I want to make that point perfectly clear as well. Now, just a second here. I don't know what's going on, but I don't have my just a second. I need my mouse to be working, and I changed the batteries in this the other night. It doesn't seem like my mouse is working again. So we're going to change the mouse batteries here. Now, I want to make it clear. We talk about emergency preparedness all the time. I told everybody to have flashlights ready in case of an emergency blackout. Okay? In case we lost power. We have plenty of batteries here. I'm showing you plenty of batteries here. Folks, we believe in backup. We believe in being prepared. And I'm showing you, I can just reach in my drawer here and pull up batteries here. I want you also to be prepared for any kind of emergency that might happen. Batteries for flashlights, batteries for radios, batteries for your mouse. Yes, I have wireless mice here for my computer. No, I don't have mice wandering around my home, but I do have mice here for my computer. So So I'm replacing the batteries as we speak. And yes, I would hope that you all would also have batteries, not just for your mice, but for flashlights and other radio devices that you may want to keep charged here. That's important. That's very important. But beyond that, you need to be prepared for any kind of emergency, literally. Now, I hope that did it. I hope that did it here. Don Pistokis is back up and back up for that, absolutely. That's what we have here. Back up and back up and back up here. Sorry about the clicks here, the audio clicks here. Okay, we do have launch here. We do have launch. I got my mouse back, everything's normal here. But folks, it's important. Everything we talk about here is important. Okay? Now, what is going on? Like I said, President Trump is in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania at a rally now. President Trump has been telling us that he's ahead in the polls. The Democrats are also saying they're ahead in the polls. Yet we know for a fact that Democrats lie. However, yes, I agree Democrats lie. But we also know those Democrats also falsify data. They also mess with ballots. I've explained that before. Already in Pennsylvania and other places, and New York, they place big boxes on the street. Big ballot boxes on the street. Those are not monitored boxes. They can be dealt with by individuals. They can pad the ballot boxes. They can stuff the ballot boxes. That's what happened this last election. It's proven. They're doing it. They're going to do it again. They got away with it one time. They're going to do it again. They also have access to those computer voting machines. Okay, it's not going to stop. All this is going to continue. Okay? They have allowed Big K, I'm not going to say her name, Big KH, they've allowed her to run for president. They're going to allow it. Okay? They're going to allow it. However, there's something else. Up until 2 weeks ago, Barack Obama and Michael Obama, were not going to support Big K. However, on Friday this past week, Barack Obama and Michael Obama called Big K, telling her that she has their full support. She has their full support. What changed? The Obamas know for a fact that they cannot prevent the Democrat Party at the Democrat National Convention to not put her in. They're not sure whether the Democrat Party could put someone else to run for president. So Barack and his wife made sure that she knew that they have their support. But it's going to go. It's going to go. It's going to go to the convention. Yes, the convention could change that. But right now, Big K is the one that's going to go up in November at this point in time. Richard Smith says a small look at the political system. That's what we're talking about tonight, the political system. Now, we talked about them lying through their teeth. Yesterday, Big K said that she will end fracking, oil and gas pumping operations in the United States if she was elected. She said she will end fracking in the United States if she's elected. Again, what has happened? The Democrat Party since 2020 has been pushing the big green agenda. Over in California, Governor Newsom has said that he will not allow any gasoline-powered cars in California to be sold. He will not allow any new cars that are gasoline-powered cars to be sold in California by 2035. He will not allow any, and I'm saying any, semi-trucks that are diesel-powered to be on the road either. He will not allow it. Which means that diesel-powered trucks will not be able to carry foodstuffs or groceries of any kind to the stores to be sold. These diesel trucks cannot run on batteries. These great big huge semi-trailers that get pulled by these tractors, these diesel tractors don't have enough energy unless they're diesel. They don't have the oomph to do it. Only diesel will allow the trucks to operate. The trucks cannot operate on electric batteries. There is not enough oomph from the batteries to power those trucks to pick up supplies for stores. Okay? So that's not going to work. Mr. Newsom is crazy. So is AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, in New York. She has a diesel car. I'm not a diesel car. She has an electric car in New York. And she's been complaining lately that she cannot get around in New York on that electric car. Because she can only drive like 200 miles at a time before she has to stop for at least 24 hours to charge that car. What's going to happen when wintertime comes along and the batteries get cold and it takes longer time for the batteries to recharge? Or the batteries die because of the cold. This is not anything that the governors of New York or California or anywhere are even considering. There's also not enough charging stations to charge those electric cars. And it costs more money to put up and build charging stations than it's even worth. So these electric cars are not going to be able to be even sold. Okay? It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Now, Tammy Steppe is here saying in the chat saying electric cars make it easier for the government to restrict and control us. That's exactly right. Because the cars cannot go any more than 200 to 300 miles before they have to stop for 24 hours to recharge. Imagine if you're driving down the road and you cannot find a charging station. You're not going to be able to go anywhere, right? Yeah, you're going to have to stop. This is all about control, guys. It's all about control. Then something else happened today. Okay? It's incredible what happens when we're not even looking at it. The organization of the World Economic Forum also doesn't want us to travel. They are going to up the price of airline tickets so we can't afford to fly. We're not going to be able to go anywhere because the price of air travel will be out of reach for any of us. So the World Economic Forum is actually in charge, right? Yeah. The World Economic Forum has charge over the U.S. Okay? My dear friend Laura Marie is here in the chat, says, what about when California's power company routinely shuts down electricity to prevent fires? That's going to happen. That is going to happen very soon. Because right now we are in extreme fire season in California. Literally. Extreme fire season. We talked about the fires in California and Oregon already. Nothing's changed. More acreage is burned. They are going to shut down the power stations because they are afraid that the power lines both above and below ground are going to cause more fires. Yeah. They don't want anybody to do anything. So we're not going to be able to charge our cars. We're not going to be having electricity in our houses to do anything. Okay? We need to make sure we're ready for whatever happens here. We won't be able to travel with electric cars. We won't be able to fly. And if Kamala, I should not even say that. If Big K, okay, I'm scared of saying her name because YouTube has been taking channels down when they talk about Big K. If her name gets said, the channel disappears. Or the program gets taken down. Anyway, Big K doesn't want anything to happen as it happens now. They're going to limit fuel availability. They want their big green agenda put out. It's going to happen. It will happen. Now, she is telling us that she does not want anything to happen unless she has it happen herself. Now that sounds a little weird, but I heard her say that earlier today. She also said that she will ban private health insurance. She said everyone will have insurance, but there will be no need for private health insurance. She said, quote, she supports Medicare for all. What do you think's happening now? The Democrat Party has brought in all these illegal people into the United States. And I would be very hesitant to say anything but illegal, because that is exactly who they are. Millions of people have crossed through our southern borders and come across, and even are crossing into Canada from the U.S. People that we can't identify. There's been millions of people gotaways. Millions of people that have come across and have been declared gotaways. They have not come through normal ports of entry. They've come across the border because Biden has allowed it. Biden has told Custom Border Protection and Border Patrol to allow those people through. So they're not even coming through the legal way. They're just coming through. Millions of people from over 149 countries worldwide coming to this country. Russians, Chinese, Koreans. I have nothing against Koreans. Illegals from Mexico, Central and South America. Illegals from the Middle East. Gang members from Venezuela. TGT gang members from Venezuela. The most dangerous gangs in the world are now here in the United States. We thought that the gangs from Mexico and Central America were bad. MS-13, for example. Apparently, these gang members from Venezuela are worse, and they're here. They're here kidnapping people. They're here killing people. They're here committing all kinds of felonies. And yes, our police have arrested them, for all that's worth. The police arrest them, and our justice system lets them go. Our police, law enforcement arrests them, and the justice system lets them go. Because Biden wants them to be free. Now, there's something else here too. Something else that's happened that you probably ought to know about. Something else is here that's going on. Big K is also going to allow felons in prison to vote. At the present time, that's not allowed. At the present time, it's not allowed. But she's going to allow it to happen. Kamala Harris will allow it to happen. She's as much said that. She said that, guys. Just a second, I'm checking something real quick. There, I'm back. I put my tablet on Do Not Disturb, so you guys are not going to hear those audio clicks. My telephone is on Do Not Disturb either, so you're not going to hear that as well. Anyway, Big K is going to allow felons to vote. The law now says at this point in time that if you've been convicted of a felony, you're not allowed to vote. They're going to change that. They're going to change that because the Democratic Party wants to get as many people to vote for their party. Okay? That's just a fact. That's just a fact. So, she wants to only have electric cars. She wants to ban private health insurance. Give everybody Medicare. They're already doing that for all the illegals coming across the border. They're going to drain Social Security and Medicare where nobody will ever have it. They're giving these illegals $5,000 a month to come across the border here to live. I wish I made that in Social Security. I wish I made that kind of money, but I don't. I can hardly support myself on Social Security now. With your help, you help keep me on the air here, to help pay the bandwidth bill for Wi-Fi service here. Help keep us on the air. I appreciate all of your donations to PayPal. I appreciate your donations to our super chats here. I appreciate you sending cards and letters with donations in our mail. We haven't had any donations in the mail in almost 4 weeks. We have someone that said they're going to be sending us a letter sometime in the next day or so with the donation, and we appreciate that so much. Now, if you think things are going to stay the same, I don't think it's going to happen. We have to get President Trump into office. Because if the Democrats stay as the way they are, we're screwed. We will absolutely be screwed. Now, something else that Big K has said. Something else that Big K has said. And this is serious. This is very serious. She is against any requirement for private gun owners to sell their weapons to the government. She's against any requirement for private gun owners to sell their weapons to the government. She said when she gets into office, one of the first things she's going to do is gun confiscation. Gun confiscation. What's going to happen? She's not going to allow Congress to do it. She said she's not going to wait for Congress to enact laws to do that. She's going to do it within a week of being put into office by executive order. Adventure Mike just gave us a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Mike. We appreciate that. She said, I'm amazing. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Thanks for your support. I really appreciate that so much. God bless you for that. But she's not going to allow the government or to have private gun owners sell the guns back to the government. She's going to confiscate it. She's going to confiscate it. Now, she's also telling Congress now, as a vice president and someone that's running for the vice presidency right now, she is telling Congress right now to re-examine ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement. She said we have to start from scratch. We cannot allow Customs Enforcement to continue as it has. She wants to open up the borders to whoever comes in here, just walk in. Now, she's also saying right now that she also supports the Biden administration's budget and the budget request for increased funding for border enforcement. But she does not want ICE to do their job. Because if ICE does their job, their illegals won't be able to come through the border. Okay? She wants Biden's border enforcement to stay as it is and just let anybody come across. On September 11th, 2022, just 2 years ago, Big K claimed that the border was closed. Big K claimed the border was closed. Now, if you remember 4 years ago, Biden put Big K in charge of the border. And it was said that Big K was the border czar. Now, there is evidence of that happening. There is plenty of evidence of that happening. However, she's denying she was a border czar. She has not even visited the border once. Not once. She has done nothing to fix the border problems. She says now that we must create a pathway for citizenship for everyone that crosses the border. But there are still problems that need to be fixed. But she does not admit to any problems exactly. She doesn't know what they are. So we citizens have a real issue here. We have someone that's running for president that doesn't even know what she's doing. She has no clue. She does not have a path for anything to happen. All she has a path to do is by a stroke of a pen of allowing herself to say what she wants to have happen and make it so. Writing her own law. Literally writing her own law. Hurricane Heather's here in the chat says she is seriously underestimating her opponents. I agree. But, again, we have an issue with the Democrats. At the voting box, at the ballot box, padding the boxes, messing with the computer systems that 4 years ago showed President Trump leading at 10 p.m. at night. And yet at 6 a.m. in the morning, all of a sudden, President Trump was behind by millions of votes. That's impossible. That's impossible. Nico's here in the chat saying it's cheating. You're absolutely right, it is. It's called cheating. But that's what the Democrats do. I've seen it for years and years. I saw it back in 2014 when Romney was running for president, and I tried voting for Romney because I did not want to vote for Obama. When I tried voting for Romney, it turned over to Obama. So I went to the people in charge of the poll. They said, okay, we'll avoid that, but you need to have and put together a provisional ballot. So I wrote everything out. I voted on paper. Then a week later, all of a sudden, guess what happened? I got a letter from the Salt Lake County Office of, what is it called? The office where they tabulate votes. Anyway, I got a letter from them a week later. They said they were not able to tabulate my vote, that my vote didn't count. But they never gave me a reason. Never gave me a reason at all. It's sad. I called the Registrar of Voters office. That's what it's called, the Registrar of Voters. I called the Registrar of Voters office. They said, you didn't check this box. You didn't write this down. I said, yes, I did. I can show you. Let me come down to your office. No, you can't do that. They had every reason to not let me show them that my vote would count. But my vote was already not counted, no matter whether I wanted to fight it or not. Unreal. That's what the Democrats do. They do whatever it takes to cheat, to lie, or take people out, remove them from the positions, remove them from taking over. They even called President Trump Hitler, saying that as soon as he gets back in office, he was going to be a dictator. That's not what he said. He's never said that. They said he's going to take over the country and force everybody into being slaves. He's not said that either. It's incredible. But we don't have a secure border. We don't have a secure election system. A secure election system would be voting in person with a paper ballot and having voting only on one day. Voting for one day. Guess what? They don't even care about that. Oh, voting's going to be open for a month ahead of time, and then they're going to allow counting of votes or voting even days after. That's what the Democrats do. Voting for days after the election. That's not supposed to happen. Polls are closing at 7 p.m. all over the country. But they're going to allow anybody to vote that wants to vote and keep the polls open forever. So we may never know anything that's true. They're going to do whatever they can. They don't care. Something else that scares the crap out of me that I want to talk about tonight. Big K has also said that she wants to reimagine public safety with fewer police. Fewer police. How does that say? How does that count? What happened when Biden took over? We had riots in the street, didn't we? Antifa took over Washington State and Oregon and other cities around this country. Antifa took over. They took over city blocks, not allowing anybody that lived there to be there. They wouldn't allow the police in. They were saying defund the police. Well, guess what? That is exactly what Big K wants to do. It happened in Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Big K was just interviewed in Minnesota. She wants to reimagine public safety. Fewer police. Crime has gone down when we've had police officers, more police to enforce the law. But as soon as this reimagination of public policy and defund the police happens, like it's happened in the past, crime's going to go rampant. Crime will go rampant, I promise you. We've seen what's happened in New York. We've seen what's happened in Minnesota. We've seen what's happened in Missouri. We've seen what's happened in California, Washington, and Oregon. We've seen it all over the United States and literally all over the world. It doesn't work. It does not work. Okay? Anyway, that's what she said today. Reimagine public safety. Defunding police departments. A few minutes ago, we talked about the World Economic Forum wanting to reduce travel and up the travel costs so we will not be allowed to travel. Okay? Now, a current Secret Service sniper said yesterday that there's going to be another assassination attempt before the November election. And it very seriously could happen within the next 30 days. The Democrats are going to do it. The Democrat Secret Service is going to do it. We saw it happen 3 weeks ago. Even though the Secret Service is going through a lot of guff in Congress, they got subpoenaed to Congress, and yet they're lying to Congress. They're going to try to get away with whatever they can. There might be another attempt on President Trump's life again. Okay? I'm just warning you. You and I, all of us, need to stand together. That is the only way we're going to survive what's happening. We need to take back our towns. We need to take back our cities. We need to take back our states, our countries. All of us. It doesn't matter where we live. This is a worldwide issue. It's not just in the United States, it's worldwide. We saw what happened in France this past weekend. We saw what happened in France this past weekend. The people in charge of the Olympics let it happen. Then they apologized and got their hands slapped. The Olympic Committee, because of what they did at the introduction of the Olympics in France this past weekend, apologized, and they pulled the introduction of the Olympics off of YouTube. Okay? They pulled it down because they knew they were wrong. But the entire world saw it. They saw these idiots that we have allowed here in the United States and other places to overpower Christians, to overpower the common people. Men dressing up as women. And they say it's normal. Accept it. They're telling us to accept it. They went out onto the international stage to have acceptance. It didn't work. People worldwide were upset by what happened. They allowed a bunch of transvestite men to go out on stage and represent the Last Supper. Leonardo da Vinci painted that picture of the Last Supper, and it meant something. It meant something to Christians worldwide. But they threw it in our face and allowed those transvestites to come out and perform as a Last Supper. What a bunch of crap. What a bunch of crap. Mary Pedersen is saying she hasn't seen it in boycotting the Olympics this year. We're boycotting the Olympics here. But it wasn't just a depiction of the Last Supper. It wasn't just that. They had a nude man out on stage. A nude man. They allowed him to paint his genitals and go out on stage in front of an 11-year-old girl. Go out on stage nude in front of an 11-year-old girl. What is that? That's called child abuse. This is called child abuse. Period. It's despicable. It's absolutely despicable what they had allowed us to see. And then they said, oh, sorry, we didn't mean to offend anybody. Yes, they did. They knew exactly what they were doing. And they just accepted that we would accept it. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Okay? One of my friends has a podcast, Old World, New World, Old Soul is what they call it. Jeremy and Melissa, they're my friends. They talked about this for an hour on their program. I talked about it briefly during the weekend. I believe I mentioned it Friday night. My wife and I aren't going to put up with this crap. And I don't think any of you should either. I don't think anybody should. Songstress Scriven says, the way of the world, lawlessness, exactly. But that's exactly what our country doesn't want to have happen. The majority of American citizens around the world don't want that to happen. I believe that the majority of people around the world don't want that to happen either. But the French people thought, oh, we're just going to get away with it. Really? No, you're not. They got their hands slapped this time. But when is the next time they're going to do it again? And again and again. They're going to continue to do this until we do something about it and not allow them to do it again. That's what I'm saying. We cannot allow them to do it, not even one more time. Period. Not now, not ever. Not now, not ever, guys. I'm just saying. We can't allow it. We are Christians. We are Christians, and we need to stand up for what we believe. Plain and simple. We need to stand up for what we believe. And if we don't do it, then we are as guilty as the people that are doing it. Okay? Arnold Smith is here in the chat saying the old Greek Empire has been influential in the Roman Empire. I understand that. And France was a European country that executed the royalties and destroyed organized Protestant churches. Catholics safe, but not Christians. Yeah. And they're trying to do it again. They're trying to do it again. We can't allow this to happen. Okay? We can't allow it to happen. Sergi says, just garbage. I agree. It's garbage. Now, I love all of you around the world. This is an international channel, and that's why I'm talking about it. This is an international channel, and we need to be prepared. We talk about preparedness of all kinds, but this is just one more thing to add to that. We need to stay strong. We need to add our minds and spirit to the fight against the devil of all devils. If evil wins, then we're gone. We cannot allow the evil to win. We can't. I won't. That's why I'm here, talking about it with you all. Anyway, before I get into earthquakes here, I want to thank all of you that are here. Old Soul Outlaw says you're a good man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But we all have to stick together, okay? We have to stick together. Folks, before we get to talking about earthquakes and anything else I'm going to talk about, and yes, we are going to talk about earthquakes, I want to ask all of you to give our channel a thumbs up. If you like what we're talking about, if you support us, give us a thumbs up. Also, please don't take off after being here only a few minutes. If you do that, it's letting YouTube know that you don't really care about this channel. Because YouTube looks at the people that are watching our program the entire time you're here. If you're only here for a few minutes, YouTube says, oh, that channel's not worth it. Nobody really sticks around to watch it. They look at that. It's an analytical factor. They look at the number of people watching a program. They look at the amount of time you're here watching a program. They also look at the number of thumbs up that you give us. If there aren't a bunch of thumbs up, then they say, oh, it's not a good channel. So they don't allow anybody else on YouTube to look at our channel. And yes, folks, they are looking at that. Last weekend, we had 6,000 subscribers on this channel. On Monday, they took down 400 subscribers. Right now, we're at like 5,600 something. On Friday, we're at 6,000. So they took off 400 subscribers. Yes, that's the largest number that I've ever seen of them taken down. I've noticed them taking down subscribers before, but I've never seen that large number before. So folks, I'm going to ask you this as well. If you think you're subscribed, make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure you're subscribed. Lamb as the Light says the volume went down. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean for it to go down. I don't know why it may have gone down. But folks, watch and make sure you're still subscribed. Okay? If you're not subscribed, subscribe to this channel. Or if you thought you were subscribed and they took you down, resubscribe, and when you do that, there's a little bell icon right next to the subscription button. Click on that little bell. A drop-down menu of 3 items will come up. Click on the word ALL, all. When you click on all, you get notified when we come on the air, but you can't trust YouTube. You can't trust YouTube because YouTube consistently doesn't allow people to see this program. They don't necessarily notify you when we come on the air. I've talked to many of you today that say that YouTube unsubscribed us, or they were not notifying you. It happens even to our mods here. YouTube unsubscribes mods all the time. They unsubscribe you all the time. So please, folks, please make sure you're subscribed. About 25 to 26% of people that watch this channel are not subscribed. Imagine if everybody that watches this channel were subscribed, the numbers here would go skyrocketing. So please do that. Please do that. Okay? Subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell and click on ALL to get you notified when we come on the channel. But be advised, we come on the channel Monday through Friday sometime after 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So check on this channel between 6 and 7. You're going to find us on the air. Today, I had a little bit of a problem trying to get on the air. So it was about 6:20 when we came on the air. I was hoping to get on the air at 6. I was ready, but for some reason they wouldn't allow me to come on the air. I'm here. I made it. So let's talk about earthquakes. Let's talk about earthquakes. Now, right now I'm showing you a map of the world. USGS map of the world. I just showed you the United States, but I'm not going to stay in the United States right now. I'm coming down here to the South Pacific. Okay? This earthquake here. This is Levuka, Fiji. Levuka, Fiji. This is a 5.7 very large earthquake. A 5.7 very large earthquake. This is also a very deep earthquake. 600 kilometers deep. Deep earthquakes propagate larger, shallow earthquakes. That's what's going to happen here. This deep earthquake in Levuka, near Levuka, Fiji, not in Levuka, Fiji, but it is approximately 82 kilometers east-northeast of Levuka, Fiji. It's out here in the ocean waters of the Pacific. Okay, it's a deep earthquake. Again, deep earthquakes propagate larger, shallower quakes. This deep, 600 kilometer deep earthquake is going to propagate a 7.0 earthquake. A 6.8 to 7.0 earthquake. Sometime within the next 3 to 10 days. So be aware of it. Be aware of it. We're going to see a very strong 6.8 to a 7.0 earthquake sometime within the next 72 hours to 10 days. It could still hit here in this area. Fiji, Tonga, further southwest to the Loyalty Islands, or further southwest over to Solomon Islands, or over to Papua New Guinea. It could also go south to New Zealand. Notice that the USBS is still not showing earthquakes in New Zealand. There just happened to be a 4.1 in New Zealand today, and they're not showing it. Why not? A 4.1 is a moderate earthquake. 4.1 can do moderate damage, yet they're not showing it. They're showing this earthquake here in the Kermadec Islands. There were 3 earthquakes here in the Kermadec Islands today. They're showing a 5.1. There was also a 5.6 earthquake here. They're not showing it. The Kermadec Islands are unoccupied islands here. Why? It's a bird sanctuary. These islands here in the Kermadec Islands are also unoccupied because during low tide, ships can't get anywhere near the Kermadec Islands. Kermadec Islands are surrounded by very dangerous lava rock, just either below the surface or above the surface. The only way anybody can get in and out of the Kermadec Islands is to check on birds during high tide. So nobody is here in the Kermadec Islands to live. It's a bird sanctuary. But there's just not one island, it's many islands here north of New Zealand. The Kermadec Islands belong to New Zealand. Okay? There were 2 earthquakes, a 5.6 and a 5.1. They're showing 1 earthquake. What a joke was that. Again, further south here, the North Island of Kermadec, or North Island of New Zealand here has about 10 earthquakes. There are about 5 earthquakes here in the Bay of Plenty, just north of the Big Island. There's 10 earthquakes here on the Big Island. And for those of you that have not seen this program before, I talked about this, I think, either yesterday or the day before. This lake here in the middle of the Big Island. Big Island is called Raoul Island. This is a supervolcano. Topol Lake is a supervolcano called Topol Volcano. It hasn't erupted for a very long time, but there are earthquakes all around Topol Volcano. Earthquakes north of Topol Volcano, and earthquakes south and east of Topol Volcano as well, and west. There's also another volcano just south of Topol Lake, Topol Volcano. This is Mount Rapahu. Mount Rapahu. It last erupted about 6 years ago. It wasn't a very damaging eruption at all, but it was an eruption. It's also been having tremors around it, tremors around that volcano, tremors all around and in the Topo volcano area. Again, this is a volcano. This is very much a volcano. And it's a very dangerous. YouTube interrupted the stream. Dadgum them. Joseph McCracken says, when I watch a video, YouTube will all be erasing his comments. I'm so sorry to hear that. Yes, it happens a lot. Just so you know, Joseph, YouTube is what they call Google moderators. YouTube has Google moderators. Google moderators come on the channels and come in the chat, and they come in and erase comments in the chat. They even take people off of subscribing to the channel. They take subscriptions down, so people have to resubscribe. That's what they do. But anyway, there are earthquakes over here on the Big Island. And like I said, there was a 4.1 that hit the Big Island earlier today. Down here between the two islands, this is called the Cook Strait here. This water here is called the Cook Strait. There are earthquakes here, mostly 2s and 3s, 2.2, 2.4, 2.5, and I believe a 3.6. Minor and small earthquakes. 2.0s, 2.9 are considered to be minor earthquakes. There's also that 3.6 that is a small earthquake. 3.0, 3.9 are considered to be small earthquakes. There are also small earthquakes here on the North Island here. I'm sorry, the South Island. There are 3.0s over here around Christchurch, New Zealand. Yes, folks, Christchurch, New Zealand is down here. Okay? Earthquakes here. There's also earthquakes further south here in what they call South Park. South Park, New Zealand. It's an actual national park here in New Zealand. Okay? Earthquakes down here. Not many. Usually there's only a handful on the South Island and probably 10 to 12 on the North Island as well. We've had as many as 26 earthquakes on New Zealand itself, and other earthquakes up in the Kermadec Islands, and more earthquakes over here in Tonga and Fiji. Today they're only showing this 5.7 here in Lubuka, Fiji, and they're only showing also one 4.3 aftershock. Go figure. This was a very large earthquake, and they're showing one 4.3 aftershock. It's also 606 kilometers deep. So again, you're going to expect that earthquake to happen. Okay? This earthquake's propagating another earthquake. This earthquake here, this 4.3, is going to propagate probably a 5.5 earthquake, together with nearly a 7.0 earthquake that are going to be happening as a result of these earthquakes here. This place is going to go crazy within the next week. Promise you that. Okay? USGS is also showing us an earthquake up over here in the southeast Pacific. This is a 5.0 earthquake here. It's a central East Pacific here. It's a 5.0 large earthquake. This is 10 kilometers deep, by the way. Over here in South America here, they're showing two earthquakes. 26 earthquakes in South America, and they show us two. This is over here in northern Chile, in the Andes Mountains. This is a 4.4 moderate earthquake, 166 kilometers deep. Okay? This is over at the border region of Argentina and Chile. Okay? San Pedro de Atacama, Chile. The border region of Argentina and Colombia. Over here in Peru, this is a 4.7 near Churubamba, Peru. A 4.7 earthquake, 11 kilometers deep, just over 6 miles deep. Okay? Central America. We have 13 earthquakes here in Central America. Go figure. This is over in southern Mexico, though. Southern Mexico. It's not. I'm sorry, it's off the coast of Guatemala. USGS has this as southern Mexico. It's not. This is over off the coast of Guatemala. It's a 4.3 earthquake. That's what USGS does. They misidentify locations. This has nothing to do with Mexico at all. It's off the coast of Guatemala here. However, over here in Mexico, between Puerto Vallarta right here and down here at the border region of Mexico and Guatemala, we have 28 earthquakes here. 28 earthquakes. All these earthquakes are between 3.3 to 4.6. Most of the 4.6s are down here in the south, including offshore. But they range in size from 3.3 all the way up to 4.6. 26 earthquakes here. 26 earthquakes here. There are earthquakes over here in northern Mexico. Earthquakes over here in northern Baja. Okay, northern Baja. Now, before I come over here to the United States, I want to first go over here to Hawaii. Okay, look at this. We still have earthquakes hitting here in Hawaii. A lot of earthquakes. A lot of earthquakes. Now, these down here in Pahala, these earthquakes here happen because this area of Pahala is where magma comes from the deep south in the Pacific, from a deep underground or in the center of the earth. There's a deep plume of magma coming from the core of the earth. That core of magma, that plume of magma, is coming and recharging all the volcanoes worldwide. That's what's happening here. We have earthquakes off the coast here. This earthquake on the coast here is a 2.3. Off the coast here is a 2.3 here. There's a 2.2 here, and this red earthquake here that just happened is a 2.0. This other earthquake here off the coast is 1.8. Why are we having earthquakes off the coast? Because, folks, we have underwater volcanoes here. The most famous underwater volcano that has been erupting recently is called Loihi. Loihi. It's just barely off the coast here. Yes, it is recharging and it has erupted. Over here, down south here in Pahala, we have a small town here, right here. This is a small town of Pahala. Just south and east of Pahala, we have a 2.4. South of the city of Pahala here, we have a 2.3. South here, we have a 2.0. Again, these earthquakes here in Pahala are where the magma from deep in the underground areas of the earth come up here to Pahala to recharge the volcanoes here on the Big Island. That's what's happening. All these earthquakes up here are a result of magma coming from Pahala and recharging the volcanoes or fissures here. Now, earlier this week and last week, we had over 1,000 earthquakes here. 1,000 earthquakes. Some of these earthquakes were over here on the southeast end of Kilauea. The southeast end of Kilauea. At one point in time, there were 300 earthquakes between Kilauea and out here in Fern Forest. This is Fern Forest here. This is a 2.3 earthquake. This red earthquake that you see right here just happened. Anytime you see a red dot is an earthquake that just happened. Okay? It happens within 45 minutes and stays red for about 45 minutes, and then it usually turns to an orangish yellow color. That's what you see here. But this is a 2.1 here. Over here to the southwest here, just southeast of Pahala, or southeast of Kilauea. This is a 3.1 earthquake. This is a 3.1 earthquake. Folks, we've had as much as a 3.6 and even a 4.0 earthquake here during this past weekend. This area is still rocking. Why? Because the magma is coming up from Pahala up here. It's possibly recharging the volcanoes here, including Kilauea. However, you can see these vents here, these craters here. One crater is Pu'u'o volcano. Pu'u'o and Kilauea erupted back in 2019. Then all of a sudden, the lava inside the volcanic crater disappeared, both at Pu'u'o and Kilauea. Scientists for several days didn't understand where it went. But shortly after the lava disappeared from the craters, all of a sudden we had fissure eruptions over here in Fern Forest and further east over here in the Eastern Rib Zone in Leilani Estates. That's what we're seeing here. This is a 2.3 earthquake here. That is a 2.3 earthquake. This is still considered Fern Forest, but over here is Leilani Estates. And yes, we even had earthquakes here in Leilani Estates on Monday and all weekend, off and on all weekend. Now, what you're seeing here in these white looks like cotton balls. These are lava plumes, toxic gases that came up out of the fissures that erupted. Toxic gases erupted out of the fissures with lava. The toxic gases were sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide. Okay? Whenever we had lava here, you see these brownish gray areas here, down here in Fern Forest, out here in Leilani Estates, this is all lava area. This is where the fissures erupted and we had lava pouring out onto the landscape. Lava poured out onto the landscape and even added acreage ground to the island. That's what you're seeing right here. Right here, it's added ground to the island. The eruptions add ground to the island. These are toxic clouds of toxic volcanic gas resulting from the lava that was erupted. 24 different fissures erupted over here. 24 fissures erupted. Scientists are now saying what I said when it first happened over 2 weeks ago. Scientists are now agreeing with me that the magma that's deep underground here in Pahala is coming over here and recharging these fissures. Some of these, actually, not some, but most of these fissures that erupted back in 2019 have been named volcanoes by the Hawaiian people. They were named volcanoes by the Hawaiian people. Now, we're seeing these earthquakes here because the magma under the ground is going out here to recharge those channels. That's what happens. That's what happens. Now, are we going to see another eruption here? More fissures open up? It's possible. It's very possible. Okay? But I want to show you this because we're still having earthquakes here. And I believe that this has been happening for a while now. USGS this past weekend, for the first time, agreed with me that there's a possibility of a fissure eruption or at least a vent erupting as a result of this magma coming up here. These earthquakes are caused by the magma beneath the ground. Does anybody have any questions about what's happening here in Hawaii? We have several members of our EMA family here in Hawaii. That's one of the reasons I am adamant that we talk about Hawaii. My dear friend Laura Marie and her husband have her family here. They have her family and grandkids over here. And her family actually lives here in the town of Pahala. Okay? They actually live down here in Pahala. Her grandson just graduated here from the high school here in Pahala right there. He just graduated, I believe, early June here. Laura Marie and her husband John visited them and went to this graduation. They also have an off-grid house over there in Hawaii. Okay, Martin Deloach wants to talk about Texas. Let's go over to Texas real quick. Then we'll go over and talk about California. Okay? Yes, we are still seeing earthquakes over here in Texas. It's going to happen. This earthquake is over here in western Texas, Hermleigh, Texas. This is where we saw a 5.5 earthquake hit here just last week. They first said it was only a 5.1. I showed you evidence that it was a much larger earthquake. This is a 2.0 here. The 2.0 is a minor earthquake. Before the 5.5 hit, folks, guess what? They had a 4.5 before that. That 4.5 was a foreshock. It was a foreshock. Any earthquake that can happen has a 25% chance that it could be a foreshock of any quake. That 4.5 that we had at the beginning of last week was a foreshock of the 5.5 that happened, I believe it was last Wednesday or Thursday. It could happen again. We can see large earthquakes here. This is a 2.0 in Hermleigh, Texas. This whole area here, actually all over Texas, this whole area here is a huge fracking operation. Huge fracking operation. I don't know how many pumps and jacks are all over Texas. Oklahoma, there are 586,000 pumps and oil jacks. Oil and gas jacks all over Oklahoma. 586,000 jacks. Here in Texas, it's a lot larger than Oklahoma. And everywhere you go here in Texas, you see a pump and jack. I spent time in Texas back in 2014, 2015, and 2016 touring Texas, touring the United States, doing disaster drills. I was here in Houston. I was in Austin. I was over at Texas A&M. Just outside of Texas A&M University, there's a what they call a disaster city. They built a complex that can simulate disasters, fires, earthquakes, all kinds of disasters all over the place. We even simulated an earthquake. We simulated an earthquake hitting Texas, so the first responders could respond to earthquakes here. And yes, they've had earthquakes. The 5.5 earthquake that was here in Hermleigh, Texas last week did not do much damage. It caused very minor damage. 5.0, 5.9 earthquakes cause large damage, large amounts of damage. That's why before this past year, they called them large earthquakes. Now they're calling them moderate earthquakes. There's nothing moderate about a large earthquake. I'm still going to call it large earthquakes because, number one, I've seen what happens when a 5.0 earthquake hits. It can cause a large amount of damage. In this case, it was just minor damage. The people here in Texas saw a softball, literally saw a softball. But folks, it's going to happen again. Like I said, there's pumps and jacks all over this area. Look at this. I've only opened this up, zoomed in here a slight little bit. Already, every pad here, either either square or rectangular pad here is a pump and jack area, pumping oil. Further to the northwest here, you also see a pool here. This pool is treated wastewater that they inject down into the oil and gas hole. They inject wastewater down into the hole. That way they get the oil and gas up out of the ground. Now, the people in and around Hermleigh, Texas declared a state of emergency last week after that large earthquake hit. I can understand why they called it a state of emergency. They declared it as a disaster emergency. Yes, it was a large quake. It could have done a lot more damage than it did. It still could. I believe they're going to continue to see earthquakes here. This 2.0 here in Hermleigh, Texas is just a minor quake. Just a minor quake. But we continue to see these earthquakes all over Texas, literally. Literally. Down in southern Texas is a town called Falls City. 6 months ago, up until 6 months ago, we never had an earthquake down there. Or if we did, nobody told us about it. But 6 months ago, we had a 4.8 earthquake down there in Falls City, Texas. Since then, we have had numerous moderate earthquakes ranging in size from 2.8 all the way up to 4.8, 4.9 earthquakes in Falls City, Texas. Now in Hermleigh, Texas, we've seen that 5.5 here and a 4.5 that preceded it. Now you can see these pumps and jacks over here, just to the northeast of this earthquake. You also see a pool of water here. Again, this is treated wastewater. You can see these other pools here right next to the pads here. Right next to these pads. Over here, you see this wastewater here? You see these pumps and jacks here. They're all over Texas. Literally all over Texas. That's why we see earthquakes all over the area. Fracking causes earthquakes. Fracking causes earthquakes. Why? Because whenever we see an earthquake, there's seismic energy that's traveled across and through the plate. Seismic energy finds these man-made earthquake faults. Each and every one of these drill points is made by man. Each one of these drill points is made by men. They're not natural earthquake faults. They drilled into the earth to pull oil and gas out. Every drill point, every drill hole, when seismic energy comes along, it can hit that drill hole. A man-made earthquake fault. That's what we're seeing here. It's no small wonder that the people here near Hermleigh, Texas, called for a state of emergency. It's going to happen. These earthquakes are going to continue. That was a 2.0. Further south here in Forsan, Texas, Forsan, this is a 2.0. We've never seen an earthquake here. I've never seen an earthquake here in Forsan, Texas. So let's zoom in and see what we see. Look at that. More oil and gas platforms here. Literally all over. Now, if there's an oil and gas platform and less than 10 miles away from the earthquake, it's an oil and gas earthquake. It's a fracking earthquake. That's what this is. 2.0 here, 11 kilometers south of Forsan, Texas. Okay? Look at that. Look at all these drill points here. They're literally everywhere. You can see them everywhere. Let's back out here. There's more. Let's go up here. This is Ackerley, Texas. We've seen earthquakes up here in Ackerley, Texas. This is a 3.0 earthquake. A 3.0 earthquake. Look at this. Pumps and jacks south, pumps and jacks north. Pumps and jacks all around this earthquake. This again is an oil and gas earthquake. This is a 3.0 earthquake. Okay? Let's back out here and go west. Okay? This is in Malaga. Malaga. Guess what? Oil and gas. Look at that. Right in the middle of an oil and gas farm here. Isn't that wild? Oil and gas platforms all over the place. Martin Deloach says, now I want to sue for damages. Martin, did you have any damage? Do you live down here? Martin, do you live down here? I'd love to know. Further south here. Yes, we continue to see earthquakes in this area for a very long time now. This is Toyah, Texas here. Good old Toyah, Texas. This is also a minor earthquake here. Toyah, Texas is also an oil and gas fracking operation here. Look at that. Right smack dab in the middle of the field here. Like I said, if the oil and gas pumping operation is less than 10 miles away, it's an oil and gas fracking operation quake. This red one here, it just happened. Excuse me. I've got allergies. This is a 1.7 tremor here. 1.7 tremor near 45 kilometers northwest of Toyah, Texas. 45 kilometers north of Toyah, Texas. Right in the middle of an oil and gas fracking operation right there. Okay? Anytime you see these pads, you're going to see an earthquake. We go further west here. You can see the pad operations here. This is also 1.7 tremor, 54 kilometers northwest of Toyah. Look at that. Oil and gas pumping operations all over this area. Crazy. It's crazy. But this is what happens when they drill for oil and gas. We go further here to the west. They say this is in White City, Mexico, but again, USGS doesn't know what they're talking about. This earthquake is in southwestern Texas. This is a 2.0, also right smack dab in the middle of an oil field. You can see the oil field all around it. You can see oil field all the way around it. You can see a wastewater treatment here right next to a pad. Okay? These earthquakes are in the middle of an oil and gas pumping operation. It's been happening for a very long time. We've seen more earthquakes happen here before. Over here in Oklahoma. This is Winoka, Oklahoma. We've seen a lot of earthquakes here. They're only showing us one earthquake here in Oklahoma. I have a feeling they're not being honest with us here. Okay, look at this. Let's zoom in here. Let's zoom in here and just find out what's going on. Here to the north, look at all these pumps and jacks here. Just like Texas. Just like Texas. Oil and gas quake. This is a 1.1 tremor here in the middle of the oil and gas field here in Oklahoma. 586,000 pumps and jacks in Oklahoma. I would really love to know the number in Texas. That would be fascinating. Let's go over here to the Pneumatic Fault. Okay? Right here. This is east of the fault. This excuse me. This area right here is the Pneumatic Fault right here. East of there, Tennessee. This is Nyota, Tennessee. It's a 1.8 tremor. This earthquake is different from the Pneumatic Fault though. This earthquake here is on the edge of the craton. The edge of the craton. Why do I say that? This is the southern part of the craton. The southeastern side of the craton right here. The craton is the Continental Divide right here. See these mountains here? The Blue Ridge Mountains down here, all the way up here. The Smoky Mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains, all the way up here to the north, here in the United States, all the way into Canada. It's the edge of the plate. Edge of the North American plate here. This is a 1.8 tremor here down on the southeast side of the plate. This is Englewood, Tennessee here. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. Why are we getting it? Why are we getting it? Let's come up here to the northeastern side of the edge of the plate here. This is a 2.2 near California, New Jersey. This is an aftershock. This is an aftershock of a 7.0 earthquake. 6.8, 7.0 earthquake that happened here several months ago. At first, when the earthquake hit here, they said it was a 4.5. Then I found out it was a lot larger. And I just said it was a 7.5. I'm sorry, it was a 5.9. They said it was a 4.5. I found it was a 5.9. Substantially stronger than what they said it was. I showed at the time documentation of why it was that strong. I went to the back seismologist study page, as I've talked about, and I shown you sensors that picked up the strength of the earthquake. Hundreds of sensors here in this area. This is a 2.2 earthquake, a minor earthquake. It's an aftershock of that 5.9 earthquake that hit here several months ago. The edge of the plate. You can see the mountain range here. This is the Eastern Continental Divide. Yesterday we had another earthquake up here near Ontario, Canada, and one even further north. Then yesterday evening over here on the shores of Greenland, we had a good sized earthquake right here. Right up here, right here. It happened here just off on the eastern coast of Greenland, right here. In the ice. Now I do have a picture of where that earthquake was, right here. Okay? This was a 5.1 earthquake off the northeast coast of Greenland. A 5.1 earthquake. Now, why is this important? Let me take down this picture and show you. Let's go back here to the USGS map. See this earthquake line here? This is the North Atlantic Ocean. The Norwegian Sea is here and the North Atlantic is here. Down here, we have earthquakes up and down the entire Mid-Atlantic Fault. This is the Mid-Atlantic Fault, starting way down here in the South Atlantic, going all the way up here, past through Iceland, and up here. This is Svalbard. This is Greenland. 5.1 earthquake up here in Greenland yesterday. We see earthquakes all the time over here in Iceland. All the time. We see earthquakes here in the South Atlantic. We see earthquakes up here in the North Atlantic here. Right down here in the South Atlantic Ocean here. This is a 5.3 earthquake over here. This is in the South Sandwich Islands. The South Sandwich Islands. We have another earthquake here as well. This is a 4.7 here. This is 105 kilometers deep. This 5.3 here is 35 kilometers deep. What you don't know here is this is also subduction zone. A subduction zone. The Antarctic plate here is pushing on the Atlantic plate down here. The Antarctic ridge is right here. The Antarctic plate is pushing on the the Atlantic plate here. These earthquakes are going to creep up the Antarctic ridge here, and probably by Saturday we're going to see 5.0 earthquakes here in the South Atlantic. Why? The Atlantic plate here, this Mid-Atlantic fault is expanding. The Mid-Atlantic fault is expanding. Now, let me turn this map around here so you can see my face, and I'll show you why it's going on, what's going on. The Mid-Atlantic is expanding like this. The Mid-Atlantic fault is expanding just like this. The Mid-Atlantic fault is pushing South America and North America in a south-southwesterly direction. The Mid-Atlantic fault is also pushing Africa and Europe in an easterly direction. That's what's causing earthquakes over here on the western coast of Africa and over here on the eastern coast of South America. 2 weeks ago, I showed you an earthquake over in Brazil, on the east coast of Brazil. That usually doesn't happen. That usually doesn't happen. But that is why we're seeing earthquakes over here on the eastern side of South America, and also why we're seeing earthquakes over here on the eastern side of North America, the United States and Canada. The United States and Canada. Now, I want to take you over to Canada now. I want to show you this. Hold on a second. There's earthquakes over here in eastern Canada. Okay? This earthquake right here, for example, this is a 4.0 moderate quake. A 4.0 moderate quake over here in the Atlantic Ocean, just off the coast of Canada. Right here. This was an earthquake that happened on the 27th. I'm sorry, not on 27th. I'm sorry, that was the time. This earthquake happened here on the 20th of July. That's a 3.2. This is a 3.7 here. Okay? Earthquakes are hitting. Why? Because the Mid-Atlantic Fault is expanding. It's pushing the Atlantic Ocean fault, the plate. The fault is expanding and it's pushing the plate in a southwesterly direction. That's what's causing all these earthquakes. Now there is a tiny earthquake here. It just happened today. This is a 1.5 tremor. A 1.5 tremor here. I'm sorry it didn't happen today. This happened 2 days ago on the 29th of July. There was a red earthquake here, and maybe I'm not just seeing it here. Let me expand this map up here. See if I can pinpoint it. No, I'm still not pinpointing it yet. Any red dot that you see here is an earthquake that just happened. Okay? Well, it's still not letting me show you. It's saying it happened on the 29th. It's a 1.5 tremor that happened here in Canada on the 29th. Okay? We've seen a lot of earthquakes here. A lot. For example, this. This happened on the 24th. This is a 2.1 earthquake. This is a 2.8. Okay? Again, it's over here on the Continental Divide. The Continental Divide here in Canada. There's a mountain range here. There's a mountain range here. That's why we have earthquakes here. Right here. This is a 3.2. That's a 3.2. This earthquake just over here on the coastline is a 3.1. Let's go up here into the Northern Territories here of Canada. Okay? This was a 3.3. This earthquake happened on July 3rd. July 3rd. Okay? 3.3 earthquake up here in Nunavut, Canada, Northern Territories. Okay? Let's come back down here south over near Winnipeg. Right here. This is also 3.1 earthquake. Tenko Mine, Manitoba, Canada. Tenko Mine, Manitoba, Canada. Let's go westbound now, okay? You see a red earthquake here. This is off the coast of Vancouver, Canada. Just off the coast of Vancouver, Canada. This is a 3.0. A 3.0 earthquake. Okay? Just happened. We see a lot of other earthquakes here. Why? Because, folks, we've been having 7.0s, which are major earthquakes, right here, off the coast of Vancouver, Canada here. We've been having 6.4s. These are very strong earthquakes. 6.5, 6.9s here. Let's zoom in right here. This is a 6.4 here. This 6.4 hit here on July 11th. We had a 7.0 earthquake happen here, I believe it was the end of June. We've continued to see very strong 6s here in July. For example, this is a 5.2 earthquake here, a large earthquake. Southwest of Port Hardy, Canada, British Columbia, Canada. You can see here, this huge swarm of earthquakes. Earthquakes are continuing to hit here. This is also on the Juan de Fuca plate. The Juan de Fuca plate. We're continuing to see that. All the way up here. This is the Cascadia subduction zone. It's a fault. This is a 3.5 earthquake here. South here, just off the northwest coast of Vancouver Island here, is a 3.1. This was a 3.5. Let's see what this other earthquake was here. See if it'll show me. This was a 4.6 here. So that 3.5 was an aftershock of that 4.6. We come up here to Queen Charlotte Island. Queen Charlotte Island. We even have earthquakes here. Why? These earthquakes are coming out of Alaska. There just happens to be a fault zone here. There happens to be a fault zone here. This earthquake here. This happened yesterday. This is a 2.6 earthquake. It's a 2.6 earthquake here. Right here. This is a 2.3. This earthquake to the north. This is a 3.7. These earthquakes are on the Cascades. Well, no, these earthquakes are part of the earthquakes that are coming out of Alaska. Okay, they're coming out of Alaska here. This is a Canadian agency, it's not even showing Alaska here. That's sad. I guess they are too, right up here. These earthquakes are coming out of Alaska from the Aleutian Island Fault Zone up here. Okay, coming out of the Aleutian Island Fault Zone. And the fault zone then comes down here, over here to the west coast of Canada. And then it comes down here, just to the south of Queen Charlotte Island here, where we have the Cascadia subduction zone and the Juan de Fuca fault. Cascadia fault. Cascadia fault. We're going to have a major earthquake right here. We're going to have a major earthquake right here. A 9.0, 10-point earthquake here, probably within the next 5 years. I want to say it's going to be probably 5 years from now. We've seen all these earthquakes here. This is just a beginning. This is just a beginning. I'm not going to spend a lot of time showing you this tonight. Okay? But all those earthquakes coming here. USGS not even showing all those earthquakes here. They think it just goes away. It doesn't. It doesn't just go away. We have earthquakes. They come down here through the Cascadia subduction zone fault here. This is the Juan de Fuca fault here. This is the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone right here. We have an earthquake here. This is important. This is a 1.6 tremor here. 1.6 tremor here in Petrolia, California. This is the area where the Cascadia subduction zone comes down here, the Gorda escarpment here, and the San Andreas fault right here. The three faults join up here in what they call the triple junction. Right here, the Cascadia subduction zone. This is a 1.6 tremor here near Pistol River, Oregon. Just off the coast of Pistol River, Oregon. There's a fault zone here. This is the Cascadia fold. The Cascadia fold and the thrust belt of the Cascadia fault zone. That Cascadia earthquake is going to be felt all the way from Alaska, all the way down south to Mexico. It's going to originate just off the coast of Vancouver and Seattle, Washington, right here. Right here in this area here. I'm not going to talk a lot about it tonight. I'm just not going to do it. I want to come down here to Southern California. You see the earthquakes that are here. Okay? This is just off of Santa Monica, California here. Malibu, California. 2.4 earthquake here, Malibu, California. Okay? Over here. This is a 2.2 in Highland Park, California. We've seen a lot of earthquakes here in Highland Park recently. A lot. Now, they're not showing many earthquakes here in Los Angeles, but I can guarantee you there are tremors and full-blown earthquakes here in Los Angeles. They're just not showing them. We come over here to the east. Okay, this is Fontana, California. Guess what? I'm going to show you what's happening here in Fontana tonight, right now. It showed a 1.1 tremor in Fontana. Guess what? They are lying through their teeth. They are absolutely lying through their teeth. Now, I do have the Fontana earthquake here. I just got to find the seismogram for it. Right here. Look at this, guys. This seismogram coming from a seismograph there in Fontana. It's not just a tremor here. Yes, there are tremors here in Fontana. Granted, there are tremors here in Fontana. But look at these earthquakes here, guys. Folks, this is like a 3.3 earthquake here. This happened just after 5:04 p.m. last night. 5:04 p.m. last night. This is at least a 3.0, 3.2 earthquake here. 3.0 earthquake here. This is a 2.8 earthquake here. Okay? How about this earthquake right here? This is after 11:10 p.m. last night. 11:10 p.m. last night. This is at least a 3.0 earthquake here in Fontana. They want to say there's only a 1.1 tremor. I'm showing you earthquakes here. This seismogram is showing you all kinds of earthquakes. Look at this. Look at this sequence here. We can't see the bottom of it because we can't see the bottom of this black earthquake here because of the other colors here. But this is a sequence. This is probably a 3.0 earthquake here, and it continues for 2 minutes. 2 minute sequence of small earthquakes here in Fontana. They are lying through their teeth if they're telling us there's only a 1.1 tremor here in Fontana. This is showing otherwise. Right here. This is also a 3.0 earthquake here after 4:30 a.m. this morning. A 3.0 earthquake here after 3:30 this morning. And over here, another 3.0 here. This would be 3:44 a.m. right here. They're lying through their teeth, guys. They are absolutely lying through their teeth about what's going on. Now, let me show you something else. Okay? Let's go over here to Los Angeles. Del Amo, California. Del Amo, California. Look at this. These are mostly tremors here. These are tremors, guys. 1.1 tremor is like this right here. That's a 1.1. This is a 1.6, 1.7 tremor here. So for them to call for only a 1.1 tremor in Fontana, they're full of crap. Right here, this is a 2.0 earthquake, Del Amo, California. Del Amo is a northern suburb of Los Angeles. This is probably a 2.5 earthquake here. 2.0 here. 2.0 here. This is just after 9:02 p.m. last night. We come down here. This is after 2:36 a.m. this morning. 2.0 earthquake here. All these are tremors here. All these are tremors here. Del Amo, California. There's a lot going on that they're not telling us about. Why are they not telling us about them? We got to ask that question. Why are they not telling us about what's going on? Now, let's look over here, just south of Los Angeles and Laguna, California. These are tremors, guys. I don't think there's any earthquakes at all here. Earthquakes are 2.0 and larger. These are just tremors here. But you can see what's going on here. Laguna, California is having tremors. Laguna, California is having tremors. Yes, we've actually seen earthquakes here in Laguna before. Okay? Now, I want to go over and show you Long Beach, right here. Look what's happening in Long Beach. These are not just tremors here. There's a 3.0 earthquake here in Long Beach right here. This earthquake happened after 5:04 p.m. yesterday evening. 5:04 p.m. yesterday evening. A 3.0 earthquake. Yes, we're seeing minor earthquakes and tremors here, all throughout this seismogram. Minor earthquakes and tremors all throughout this seismogram. Down here, I don't think we see anything more than like maybe a 2.0 earthquake here, and over here another 2.0 earthquake here. Minor earthquakes. But there's minor earthquakes and tremors all throughout this seismogram. This, folks, is Long Beach, California. Long Beach, California. Let me show you another one. I'm going to show you State Street now. I've been wanting to show you State Street all day long. Literally all day long. Look here. Okay, I'm sorry, that came up with a different size around here. This is Anaheim, California, where Disneyland is. Knott's Berry Farm. Okay? This is a 2.8 earthquake here. This is a 3.0 earthquake here. Over here on this red one, this is a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. Again, this is after 5:16 p.m. last night. This is just after 5:09 p.m. here. Nearly 5:10 p.m. 3.0 small earthquake. Yes, we have minor earthquakes and tremors all throughout this seismogram. However, this here, this is just after midnight. This is also a 3.0 earthquake. Right here. This is after 12:08 a.m. this morning. Another 3.0 earthquake here. Okay? Down here. This is after 4:51 a.m. here. 4:51 a.m. here. This is another 3.0 earthquake here. This is a 3.0 earthquake right here. Okay? We're seeing that. It looks to be this a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. We are seeing good-sized earthquakes here in Anaheim area here. Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm. Okay? Southern California, Los Angeles. Southern California, Los Angeles. It doesn't stop. Pardee, California, look at this. These are tremors. We've seen a lot of tremors, a lot more than this here in Pardee. Sometimes here in Pardee, we've seen the entire seismogram completely covered with seismic events. Tremors. These are all tremors here. Those are all tremors. Now, I want to take you out east of Los Angeles. Walnut, California, La Puente, California. Look at this. This is at a volcano. This is at a volcano. Walnut, California, and La Puente, California are cities sitting at the top of a volcano. Literally sitting at the top of a volcano. Folks, this is a 3.0 earthquake here. Again, this is 5:19 p.m. yesterday evening. 3.0 earthquake here. Look at this. The top and the bottom of this quake sequence here has been cut off. This is at least a 3.5 to 4.0 earthquake here. Right here. This is at approximately 5:51 p.m. last night. 5:51 p.m. This is like a 3.5, 4.0 earthquake. Either a good sized small quake to a moderate 4.0. We don't know how strong it is because they cut off the top and they cut off the bottom of this quake sequence. This quake lasted 60 seconds. This quake sequence lasted 60 seconds. We can tell that by the width of the quake here. The length of time the quake happens is the width of the quake here, the sequence. How'd you like to be in a quake that lasted a full minute? That's what happened. How about this here? This is just after 6:15. There's a good sized quake sequence here. Just after 6:15 here on the red line. We can't see the bottom of it. Well, it might, the bottom of it might come here. But it's being obscured by another quake here after 7:16 here. This is 7:16 right here. This earthquake sequence happened here. It takes 1, 2, 3 minutes here. The bottom of the quake sequence is cut off here, and we cannot see the top of it, but maybe right here. This was at least a 3.0 earthquake, and it lasted 3 minutes here. 3-minute earthquake. The bottom's been cut off, and we can't see the top of it. It might have been cut off too. It might have been a lot larger than a 3.0, but I believe this was at least a 3.0 earthquake that lasted 3 minutes long. Lasted 3 minutes. How about this on this blue line? This blue line here, right here on the left-hand side, is 7:30 p.m. We come over here, 7:36. The top and the bottom of this quake sequence have been cut off, and we can't see most of this quake sequence because of all these other earthquakes. This is probably at least a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake. The same with this quake sequence here, the same with this one. Look at this sequence here. The bottom's cut off, we can't see it. We can just barely see the top of this one, but it's been cut off as well. This sequence lasted, this quake sequence here lasts at least 3 minutes to this point. Then it continues over here off and on. It continues all the way over here. This quake sequence started right here. This is 8:53 p.m. right here. 8:53 p.m. and it goes all the way over here to 8:59. 6 minutes long. How'd you like to endure a 6-minute long quake? That would blow your mind. That would probably blow your mind. How about this one here? Over on the left-hand side, this is 10:15 here. We come over here. This is 10:24 p.m. here. 10:24 p.m. here. 10:25, 10:26, 10:27, 10:28 here. 5-minute long quake sequence here. This was at least a 3.5, 4.0 earthquake. And no, USGS did not show this earthquake on the USGS map last night. They are not showing these earthquakes at all. But you can see here that they happen. This is a data sheet. The seismograms are the data sheet showing you where the earthquakes are, number one, and showing you the number of earthquakes and the strength of the quakes here. We can see that on the seismogram. How about this quake here? This is after 11:52 p.m. right here. 11:52 all the way over here to 11:59. 7-minute long quake. 7-minute long quake. Off and on at least a 3.0 to 3.5 quake for 7 minutes. This is at a volcano. It may be that this isn't just earthquake from normal seismic activity. There's a volcano down here. The magma inside the volcano recharging this volcano may be causing these quakes. That frequently happens at volcanoes. But we're seeing these quakes. People felt these. People felt the ground is shaking here, yet the USGS and Caltech don't show you these quakes. These seismograms come from Caltech. These seismograms that you're seeing here tonight come from Caltech. Okay? Incredible. Okay? This is out in the eastern Los Angeles area. Walnut, La Puente, California. Now, let's go further south. Let's go further south down into the Imperial Valley in California. Over on the eastern side of the Salton Sea. The Salton Sea is just that. It's an eastern piece of water. They call it the Salton Sea because it's out in the desert area of the Imperial Valley. Look here. Guess what? This is over on the eastern side of the Imperial Valley. It's on the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault. This is not a volcano. This is a San Andreas Fault. Look at these earthquakes here. We can see this. Part of this is also cut off. Some of these earthquake strikes have been cut off here, but these are at least 3.0 earthquakes here. Yes, we have some seismic activity here that's less than that. 2.5, 2.6 earthquakes here, but we have 3.0 earthquake here, at least 3.0 earthquake here, lasting about 45 seconds here. Same thing here. Here's another 3.0 earthquake here. This is a 3.0 earthquake here, and the seismic sequence lasted 2.5 minutes. It started right here after 7:14. It actually started here with tremors here about 7:13 p.m. last night, and it came over here 7:13. It really started hammering here at 7:14, and it came over here after 7:15 here. So it lasted about 2.5 minutes. Then the secondary wave lasted out here another minute and a half. So this was at least a 3.0 earthquake here. 3.0 earthquake, and it continued over here after 7:15 here. Look at all this. This is on the San Andreas Fault in the Imperial Valley. Now, let me back this up. You're seeing these 3.0 sequences here. Down here, the top and the bottom of this sequence here has been cut off. Probably 3.5 to 4.0 earthquake here. The same thing here, the same thing here. Okay? On the San Andreas Fault. Let me show you something here. Okay, this is the Salton Sea here. This is the Imperial Valley here. The Imperial Valley starts up here, north of the Salton Sea. Right here you see the San Andreas Fault. When the San Andreas Fault enters the Imperial Valley, they call it the Imperial Fault. But the San Andreas Fault is a San Andreas Fault nonetheless. Right here. This is Bombay Beach, the location I just showed you. Bombay Beach, California. This is where that seismogram came from. Those earthquakes are on the San Andreas Fault, or what they call the Imperial Fault. Now, they're not shooting all the earthquakes here, are they? Heaven forbid. 15 earthquakes minimum over on the Bombay Beach seismogram. They're not showing them here. They are not showing them here. Why not? Inquiring minds want to know. Look at this. Okay, let's look at this. This sequence lasted over 2.5 minutes here. One sequence, two sequences. This is a third here. I'm counting both of these as just one here. So these is 3 quakes. 4 quakes. This sequence here continues over here. 4 quakes. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 9 here. 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 good-sized quakes here at Bombay Beach. 13. They're not showing them here, are they? Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. Let's look over at El Centro, California. Our friend Juanito lives in El Centro. Look at this, guys. Martin Deloitte says, why? I wanna. I really actually do so. I don't know what you're talking about. This is not again 2.3 minutes. Look at that. Folks, these are 3.0 earthquakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 3.0 large earthquakes. I believe this is probably a 3.3 here. But 26 3.0 larger quakes in El Centro, in the Imperial Valley today. Some of these are just tremors, and some of them are also minor earthquakes. Some of them are minor 2.0 to 2.9 earthquakes. But we counted 26 3.0 large earthquakes here. In El Centro. In El Centro, guys. Why? Why are USGS not telling us about it? Why? Why not? Let's look over at the town of Imperial. Look at this, guys. Look at this. This happened yesterday evening after 5:03 p.m. 5:03 p.m. yesterday evening. This is a 3.0 earthquake here in the Imperial Valley, in the town of Imperial. 3.0 earthquake that lasted probably 20 seconds. Earthquake started way over here with tremors and built itself up to 2.5, 2.8 here, and 3.0 activity here, and then reducing itself out here. Okay? This happened just yesterday evening. All the rest of these are all tremors here. They're nothing but tremors here. All that seismic energy here in the town of Imperial. It's not the only place, though. This is off the northeast shore of the Salton Sea. These are tremors here. North Shore Salton Sea, there's a small town there on the northeast shore of the Salton Sea. It's called North Shore Salton Sea. Tremors. Tremors. How about down in Holtville? This is called the Salton Sea Desert Research Station in Holtville. These are tremors here. Yes, we've had full-blown 3.0 large earthquakes here in Holtville. For example, this is a 2.5, 2.8 earthquake here. This is a 2.5 earthquake here. This is a 2.8 earthquake here. 2.0 earthquake here. Let me reduce the size of this. Okay? Look over here, down here at the bottom. Okay? Over on the left side, this would be 4:30 a.m. this morning. 4:31 a.m. here we have a 3.0 earthquake right here. Right there. This is in Holtville, California. Holtville, California. Okay? Let's go over to the northwestern side of not the northwestern side, the southwestern side of the Salton Sea. This is Westmoreland. Westmoreland. All you're seeing are tremors here. This is a larger 1.3 tremor here. It lasted just over a minute long here, maybe a minute and a half. Tremor sequence here. Small tremor sequence here, 1.2, 1.3 tremors here. The same thing here. The same thing here. Nothing but tremors here in Westmoreland. Yes, we have had 5.0 earthquakes hitting here in Westmoreland just about 2 months ago. It happens. It happens. We have had large earthquakes down here in the Imperial Valley. One more. One more. I just love this because USGS is not showing any of this. None of it. This is Calipatria, California. This is over on the southwest side of the Salton Sea. 2.2, 2.3 earthquakes, but it was cut off at the bottom and cut off at the top. The same thing here. These may have been larger earthquakes here. Maybe as much as a 2.5, 2.8 earthquake, and the same thing here. Anytime they cut off the top and the bottom of them, they're large earthquakes. Yes, we're seeing 2.0 earthquakes here. This may have been a 2.0, but it might have also been a 1.8 tremor here. But these are earthquakes. The red earthquakes, the red signatures here are caused by the computer. The computer makes these red to get the seismologist's attention, saying, look at this quake. And yes, this seismogram has been approved by the seismologists. They've seen it. They've seen it. This is a 2.0 earthquake. This is a 2.0 earthquake. This is also 2.0. This is close to being 2.0. This is a 2.4, 2.5 quake. This is probably close to a 3.0 earthquake right here. This morning. Okay? Just after 7:28 this morning. Look at these others. Look at this. This big blob here is magma. This big blob is magma. Anytime these lines are showing thickness or thinness, like here, the line is very thin. It gets larger here. It's called magma pulse signals. Magma pulse signals. That's what we're seeing here. Down here, the line is fairly thin here and it gets larger. A large amount of magma coming into the magma chamber of the Salton Butte volcano. Coming into the magma chamber of the Salton Butte volcano. The Salton Butte volcano is just north of where this seismograph is. Okay, I'll show you that in a minute. That's why we have this huge magma here. Right here. This is also an earthquake caused by the magma that came into the Salton Butte volcano. Right here. See this red line? Again, computer generated to get the seismologist's attention, saying, hey, look at this. Okay? This is probably a 1.8 tremor here. This is a 1.3 tremor here. Yes, we have tremors, but we also have minor earthquakes all throughout this seismogram. Usually on a seismogram like this at Calipatria, we have anywhere from 75 to 150 earthquakes every day. Every day. Here we might have close to 50 seismic events, including tremors and earthquakes. Tremors and earthquakes here. This is over at Calipatria on the southwest side of the Salton Sea. Let me show you this here. Okay? Calipatria is right here. It's on the southwestern side of the Salton Sea. Calipatria. Over here is Westmoreland. Westmoreland, California. We come down here, this is the town of Imperial. The town of Imperial. We come down here, this is El Centro. This is El Centro here. Now they are showing us earthquake here. This is a 1.3 tremor here. This is 6 kilometers east-northeast of the town of Imperial. Well, it's not east-northeast. This is southeast from Imperial. The town of Imperial is up here. This is south of Imperial here. USGS still can't get its directions right. That's just a 1.3 tremor. This is a 1.4. 1.4 just southeast of Imperial. This is El Centro here. This is where all those 3.0, 3.3 earthquakes have been happening. 26 earthquakes here. Right here. This is El Centro Naval Air Station down here in the town, in the county of Imperial County, California. Okay? That's what's going on. I showed you Holtville. I showed you that seismogram coming from Holtville. This is the town of Holtville. It's just a small town. But that seismograph that's over here at the Salton Sea Desert Research Station here in Holtville. Okay, I want to show you that. Does anybody have any questions about anything we said? Does anybody have any questions about anything we've talked about tonight? Richard Smith is saying good night. Have a good night, Richard. Thank you for being here. My buddy Rob is here as well. Rob has been a very dear friend of mine, and I appreciate him being here as well. Don Patogas here saying your questions are important. The only bad question is the one that you don't ask. The only bad question is the one you don't ask. I've shown you earthquakes around the world. I've explained to you what's going on. I've taken my time to show you what's going on because I care. It is worth it for everybody to know what's going on around you. I felt it was important to know. Does anybody have any questions for me? Martin Deloge says, no, I love this, continue. I'm pretty much done with finished with my presentation tonight. But I'm happy to take a couple of minutes and talk to you about anything else that might be on your mind. Now there are other earthquakes over here in the Imperial Valley. Let me show you that, just so you know. Okay, there are other earthquakes here, right here. This is called Ocotillo. This area here is Ocotillo. There are earthquakes there, okay? Right here, okay? This is a 1.2. They say this is 7 kilometers southwest of Salton City. Salton City is right here. Salton City is a ghost town that used to be a thriving town back in the 50s and 60s. A lot of celebrities came here. A lot of movie stars came here. But now nobody lives here. As the sea here, as this waterway became contaminated after the 50s and 60s, people stopped coming here. Before that, it was unpolluted and it was beautiful. Beautiful blue. It's now blue, but it's also filled with pesticides and all kinds of chemicals. But this is a 1.2 tremor here. This is a 1.4 here. South here is a 0.8. Okay? This is a 0.7 over here. This is in the foothills of the Chalk Mountains. This is a 1.0 tremor here. This is a 1.1. This is in Borrego Springs. This is at the top of the Chocolate Mountains. You might be remembering that back in the day, back in the 80s, when Top Gun had the movie out, the Tom Cruise and his buddies flew over the Chocolate Mountains out here into the area of the Imperial Valley. You saw it. You saw great aerial sequences being filmed over here, just up above the Chocolate Mountains here, and out into the desert areas here in the Imperial Valley here. Incredible. Incredible moving sequences. But this, folks, is northeast San Diego County here. This is Borrego Springs in northeastern San Diego County. This is the Anza Borrego Desert here. The Anza Borrego Desert area. We've had 5.0 earthquakes here before. Yes, you see a red earthquake here. This is a 0.8. They say this is Ocotillo Wells. It's not. This is over in Pine Valley, California. Pine Valley. This is East San Diego County. This earthquake here is 1.2, also in Pine Valley. Over here, San Diego County here. This is just north of where I used to live. Actually, just north and east of where I used to live. Lived in a town called Poway, California. This is Rancho San Diego, California. Rancho San Diego. When I lived here, this was just beginning to be a blossoming community of retirement people. There were townhouses, condos, and mobile homes here. Rancho San Diego. Now you see this is all spread out all over. This is a rather large town. There's even a football stadium here, which means this is probably a school right here. Rancho San Diego. Okay? It's huge now. It didn't used to be. Okay? This is East County, San Diego. Okay? But this area right here is full of earthquakes every day. Every day. 1.2, 1.4, 1.7 tremors. But we also see earthquakes, full-blown 2.0 to 5.0 earthquakes happening here all the time. We are expecting a major earthquake here to happen on this same San Andreas Fault. The same San Andreas Fault right here, Southern California. Over here on the eastern side of Los Angeles here, all the way down here to the Imperial County. We are expecting a 7.0 earthquake here. Okay? Back on April 3rd, 2010, right here. Right here where you see my cursor. Right here. This area here. We had a 7.1 earthquake. Now they're saying it was probably closer to an 8.2. Back in 2010, April 3rd, 2010, there was a 7.1 earthquake. It originated just south of the border in what they call Guadalupe, Victoria, Mexico. A 7.1 earthquake. That earthquake was felt all the way over into Arizona, all the way up into Los Angeles, and all the way over into the coastal areas of San Diego County. Doggone it. Why is it doing that? I can't move my cursor. There I can. That earthquake is felt all the way over here into the coastal areas of San Diego and all the way up here into LA. Skyscrapers. I was here doing a disaster drill that weekend. Skyscrapers were shaking. Skyscrapers were shaking back and forth, and glass from windows at the top of the skyscrapers were falling out and hitting the streets and shattering in all directions. Nobody was hurt, nobody was killed. But there was over here, doggone it, over here in Calexico, over on the north side of the border, and over here in Mexicali on the south side of the border, there was damage, heavy damage. Heavy damage all the way over through this area. Damage all over the Imperial Valley, damage over here, but it was just minor damage in San Diego County. Minor damage up here in Los Angeles as well. They said it was a 7.1 earthquake. Now they're saying it may have been as much as an 8.0. It's going to happen. We're going to see a major earthquake here in Southern California. And it might happen down here again. It might happen down here again. But I am betting it's going to happen right here. I believe that major 7.0, 7.5 earthquake is going to happen right here. Okay? On the San Andreas. Now there's reason for it. There is a reason I'm saying that. Why? The San Andreas fault is a strike-slip plate like this. It's a strike-slip earthquake fault. Okay? It's moving like this. On this west side of the San Andreas fault, we have the Pacific plate. The Pacific plate is sliding in a northeast fashion, pushing on the San Andreas fault. Where the San Andreas fault here is moving in a southwesterly direction. A southwesterly direction. It's a strike-slip fault zone. There's going to be a major earthquake. You can read about it and listen about it or watch videos about it on YouTube. It's going to happen. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. Okay? It's crazy. It's crazy. I saw another video that was brand new today about that same earthquake. It's going to happen. I've been looking at it for about 2 months now. It might happen before the end of the summer. I do believe it will happen before the end of the summer. But we are expecting a major earthquake there on the San Andreas Fault. Martin Delos is Imperial County, Seattle, Washington, pretty much. Pretty much. A major earthquake, a Cascadia major earthquake, 9.0, 10.0 off the Seattle coastline. That fault will also trigger, that earthquake will also trigger the San Andreas Fault to the north, or to the south. And then that energy is going to travel down to northern Mexico. Okay? 9.0, 8.0 energy up and down the coast. Imagine what that's going to do to San Francisco. Imagine what that energy is going to do to Los Angeles. Imagine what it's going to do to San Diego and point south. That earthquake, that Cascadia earthquake is going to be felt across the entire continent. From California, Washington, Oregon, over to the East Coast. By the time it reaches there, the East Coast may only feel 5.0 large earthquake energy. But that energy is going to travel across the entire North American continent, including Canada. Including Canada. It's going to be felt up in Los Angeles. It's going to be felt over in Alaska. Everywhere. Okay? Do you have any questions for me? I'll be happy to answer questions now. I take questions all the time. I answer questions all the time. That's what I'm good for. That's what I'm good for. I care about you guys. I care about you a lot. That's why I'm here. Cowboy Roy Rogers is here. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. Appreciate you. Martin Delos says, I've been saying that for ways I was in Mexicali. Wow. I spent a lot of time in Mexico. I know Mexico, northern Mexico, quite well. Been there all the time. Okay, guys, it's really late. I did not expect to be on the air this late. It's been 2.5 hours I've been on the air now. Over 2.5 hours. At the end of my programs, I always like to share a spiritual thought with you. There's a lot going on in our lives, all over, literally. We only have 54 people watching our program now, which is very sad. Because I thought a lot more people would be here to watch this program tonight. I'm going over to the book of James in the New Testament. I want to go over here And I'm going to start, I'm just going to be all over for the first little bit here until I get down to verses 5 and 6. It says in verse 2, "My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into diverse temptations." Why? Because if you're not feeling any temptations, you're not living. If you're not feeling temptations, you're not fighting. You're not fighting to see God or be with our Heavenly Father. Temptations are given to us to overcome and be stronger. That's why he's saying that. "My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing." Then one of the most important scriptures in the New Testament here, verses 5 and 6 in the first chapter of James. "If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed." Brothers and sisters, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God. Why? Why? Because the Lord wants us to pray. The Lord wants us to take our questions to him, to get answers. Let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally. He gives us blessings. He gives all of us blessings, brothers and sisters, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given. If we pray with sincere intent, having faith, the Lord will bless us with the truth. In anything. If you have a question about the scriptures, ask God about it. Ask him if it's not true. Ask him if it's not true. And he will reveal it through the gift of the Holy Ghost. I promise you that. I promise you that. Laura Marie's here in the chat saying, "Great scripture. I memorized that scripture, if any of you lack wisdom, when I was a little girl." I did too. I did too. The scriptures are for us. The scriptures are for us to grow and to learn, that we might return to God in heaven. I know that to be true. I know it to be true. Pray and ask our Heavenly Father if the truth of it is there. I testify to you that I know it's true. I love you. I love each and every one of you. That's why we're here, because I care. If I didn't care, I would have been gone by now. I've been doing this for 5.5 years now. It's because I care. I believe these earthquakes, the hurricanes, the tornadoes, the fires, and all the other pestilence that we see in our world today are for us to grow and overcome. That's what we're here for. May God bless you. May God bless you. I love all of you. Folks, if anything else happens tonight, we will be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. If anything happens tonight or tomorrow, we'll be on the air as soon as we get the information. However, we will be coming back on the air tomorrow evening, just after 6 p.m. Just after 6 p.m. So, friends, join us here. Tell all your friends, your neighbors, your family, your extended family, the people you work with, and also your social media contacts about this program. We need to grow it. We need to share what we hear here, what we learn here. People need to know it. So please share it. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. And also click on that little bell icon so you'll be notified when we come on the air. Also hit that thumbs up button. Hit that thumbs up button because that will tell YouTube that you enjoy this program and it's worth seeing. I love you. I ask the Lord to bless you. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side, brothers and sisters. I love you very much. Have a good night. Take care. Love each other. See you soon. Good night.